Hi everybody, welcome back to statistics. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this assignment. I'm just sitting here, sitting at my desk. I've been working. I gotta wake myself up. All right, here's the assignment we're gonna do. How do you like that monkey chest pound? Waking myself up, man. All right, we need to get the penguin data. You could pause the video, you could read through this, but to get the penguin data, I'm gonna click on that. There's the penguin data. If I click on it, it just shows me the penguin data, but if I look in the URL, it shows me this is a CSV file. That stands for comma separated values. We learned about that last week. So I could right click this data. I could choose save link as, and I'm gonna save it to my downloads, and it's penguin. I'm just gonna hit save. And so there it is, it's penguins.txt. I'm going to change that to CSV because that will allow Excel to recognize it as a comma separated value spreadsheet. We talked about this in the previous video last week, but you could see that these are comma separated values, and here's your header row. So talked about that last week. So I've downloaded that. I'm going to go to Google Drive, and then I'm going to make sure that in settings, up here in settings, I go to settings, and I'm going to make sure that this is on convert uploads to Google Docs editor format, which means that when I upload the CSV, it's going to turn it into a Google Sheet spreadsheet. I've been talking so much, I'm losing my voice. And so here it is. When I double click it, here's my penguins. I'm going to make the heading row bold. I could double click on these dividers between the columns to just kind of even them out. And then I am going to go to view, and I'm going to freeze the top row, one row. And that top row got frozen, so as I scroll, it stays in place. So I have my data set up. Now I just have to look to see what I need to do. Import the data, we just did that. Count your rows. So I could do this count function, I'll just do it. I mean, I could also just say, hey, row 1 is used by the headers. And if I go to the end, it's 345. So 345 minus 1 is 344. So I have all of my data there. I could also just do a count. I could say, hey, here's my count. Here's my count. I guess I'll put it up here. I'll say count, and it's going to be equal to count. And it's the number of numeric values or any value. I'm going to go with count to A, and I'll count all of these. Boom. And then press enter, and I don't want it to fill, so I'm going to say reject that. You can pause the video and read it. And my count is 344. So that's that part right here. Did the count and build the species frequency tables. We're going to count if we have a certain name in there. I could just copy these here. Actually, I'll just come over here and do it. So, I'll do my frequency table here. Frequency table. And I want to maybe have my bird names there, my penguin names. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to put it there, and then I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to get this one, copy it, and I'll scroll up and I'll put it there. And I'm doing a Command C for copy. On a Windows, you do Control C, and then for paste, I'm doing Command V or Control V. And now I'm going to do equal count if, and count if counts a conditional across a range, and I'm going to count this range. So I'm going to click here, hold down Command Shift or Control Shift on Windows, press my down arrow, and that selects everything. So I'm counting the range from cell A2 all the way from A2, this is column A, row 2, that's cell A2 colon, all the way through A345. Which is right here. Okay, so it's counting all that. I'll put a comma, and then the criterion is if it's going to be equal to, and I'm going to paste the bird's name. And the bird's name for this first one is Adelie, and put in quotes and like that. And it gave me a count of 152. And so I could change this here. I'm going to click right in there, and I'm going to press F4. Right, so F4 on my keyboard. I got to hit escape, get rid of that. I have to hold down the function key on my keyboard and press F4, and it put dollar signs in front of the column reference, the A, and the row reference, the 2, the column reference, the A, and the row reference, 345. And that means it's going to hold as I copy and paste this function, Control C, copy that function, Control V, Control V. As I scroll between these functions, watch this function bar up here, or better yet, I'll do this. Whoop. And you got to make that sound if you want that to work. Whoop. Just kidding. Sorry, it's been a long day. I'm just going to stretch these out. And what I did is I went into, this is called Formula View, I think. And if you go over to View, you have Show Formulas right there. And Control Backtick is how you get that to work. But I could turn that off, or I could go to View, Show Formulas, and turn it on. Now it's just showing me my formulas. And so I've got, like what? I've got that Adele bird. Oh, all my birds are listed right here. And then I need this Gen 2, so I'm just going to copy it from there, click into there, and paste it. Come on, just give me the word. Delete the word and paste it there. Boop. And then see the boop, it helps. And then copy it, and then click in there, and delete that, and boop, paste it. And now it should count it. So I'm going to leave Formula View. I could go View, Show, and View, Show, leave Formulas right there. Just uncheck it. Or I could do Control Backtick. And now these have all counted. And so here are my frequencies of the different birds. If I want to total this, I'll do a total, and I'll do an equal. And I could do this plus this plus this, right? And that'll give me 344. Or I could do equals sum, and then just drag over all that, and it gives me J5 through L5, and press enter, and it gives me that. And now if I want my percentages, I'm going to insert. I'm just going to highlight that, right click it, choose insert row above, and I don't want the whole row. I'm going to right click it, choose insert cells, and shift down. So it just inserted one row, just those 4 cells. And I'll move this up one. I should have just put it down below. And now I'm going to do the frequency, and the frequency is going to be this one divided by that one. And I'm going to hold down function and press F4 to make this reference here constant. And I want this reference here to change. So J5 is going to change to K5 when I paste it here, to L5 when I paste it here. And M5 is always going to reference M5. It's always going to reference that because it's got the absolute dollar signs around the the column reference, the M, and the row reference, the 5. Press enter. Now I copy this and paste it. And paste it. And I've got those there. And I'll just widen these out a little bit. How far does that go? How far does that go? How far does that go? So, and if you look at these formulas, right, you could see that the reference to M5 stayed constant, but J5, K5, L5 moved. That's the difference between absolute reference, which is this, and a relative reference, this is this. Because relative to where this function is, it takes the cell right above it and always divides by this, absolutely. All right, so that's relative versus absolute functions. And absolute functions, absolute references have the dollar signs on them. All right, so now I have my frequency table. I'm going to copy this once more and just put it right here. And I'm going to right click and choose paste special, paste values only. And I'm going to just bring these up for graphing, just make it a little bit easier. All right, so now I'm going to select this. And I think the next thing it wants me to do is to graph. All right, so it wants a bar chart. So with that selected, I'm going to go up to insert. I'm going to go to charts right here. And I want a bar chart. So there's a pie chart. How many are each of those? I'm going to change this, and I'm going to choose a bar chart. And bar charts have spaces between them. So there's one bar chart. I could select this again, and I could also choose insert, and I could do chart. And yeah, we'll stick with a pie chart too. Sure, why not? And there's the pie chart, and come on, use my mouse, man. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. So there's the, that one, and make this a little bit smaller. And that looks good. And notice how you could tell a different story, right? Like I could tell this story, it looks like a bigger difference. I could tell this story, it doesn't look like as big of a difference, So you could tell different stories with charts. And that's one bar chart. I'm going to go over here, go to insert, and go to chart, and then choose that one. It's also called a bar chart. I kind of think of it as a column chart because they're vertical, but it's called a bar chart. and put it here, and then scroll down, and I'll just make this one smaller too. There we go. So there are some bar charts and a pie chart for those. What's next? So we did a bar chart, insert chart, column chart, fine, and a body mass histogram. Insert chart, histogram. Select the body mass column. So we're going to select that whole column. Select the body mass column. So here's the body mass column. And we'll select it all. And starting in this first data point, 3750, hold down Control Shift or Command Shift on the Mac, Control Shift on Windows, hit the down arrow, it selects that whole column. So we've got that whole column selected. And once that's selected, right, select body mass column, insert chart, histogram, customize. So we're going to go to insert chart. This is actually new to me. Histogram. Look, it figured it out. I love AI. I love computers. There's histogram, and these should be touching. There's a little bit of a separation between them, but you get the idea. And then we have something about customizing, and then customize histogram bucket size. So histogram, x-axis, series, add series, switch rows, columns. You could always play with that and see if it does anything. And use column F as labels. It doesn't really do anything. And customize. And then what are we looking for? Customize, and we're looking for a histogram bucket size. And histogram and bucket size auto. And we could choose, what did it want us to choose? Bucket size 500. So we got these choices. I don't know what happens when we do that. That's what that looks like with 50. And if we go back to auto, I don't know what size those are doing. I don't know if there's any way for us just to type in 500 here. Okay, there's the 500. I just typed it in. And so that's what our bucket size looks like. And if we wanted to get rid of these little spaces, but you could really see like the difference, right? Like these are huge spaces, and this histogram, the spaces aren't as huge. And so that's the histogram of body mass. And you can see that this one here, right, it kind of goes out to the right, so you'd say that's skewed right. The tail tells the tail. So that is, the tail goes to the right, so this is skewed right. So that's the histogram. And the main thing that we're doing here is we're just saying, look, we learned about how we could talk about numbers in the first week, and we learned about different types of numbers, qualitative and quantitative, and nominal, ordinal, and interval, and ratio. And depending upon what we're measuring, we could, measure it in different ways, right? Qualitative is different than quantitative. And then when we get our data, we could start to, have it make more sense. And we could start to depict it so we could visually understand it better. And so that's what we're doing here with that. And so there are the bucket sizes. Where do masses cluster? Which way does the tail go? And then here it's asking us to draw a dot plot. And here's the data it wants us to do with the dot plot. I'm just wondering if in here there's a dot plot. And so I'm going to create a new spreadsheet down here, create a spreadsheet, paste this data here, and it's all selected. And I'm just going to go to insert, I'm going to go to chart, and I'm going to see if there's a dot plot here. There's a column chart and stacking, and column is like all it's letting me do. And I'm looking down here, there's some dots there. I could do that and just see what that looks like. That's a scatter chart. So there's just different charts you can use to, kind of depict your data and display your data. But I'm not seeing a dot plot. But I could also take this and I could put this into an AI somewhere and have it draw a dot plot for me. So I could try that at Gemini and say, give me a prompt to create a dot plot of this data. And I'm going to paste that data there. That's not what I wanted. So I'm going to take a picture of it since I can't get it to paste well. And I'm just going to take a picture of this data. So there's that picture. And I'll drop that in. Boop, and I'll get rid of this. I don't know why I make those sounds. And there we go. And I think it might just create an image. No, it's giving me the prompt. All right, so I'm going to take this now and go to another Gemini and ask it to create an image and put that in and see if it gives me a good dot plot. And I'm not sure if that's right, but let's compare it. So I could drag this over, and then I could drag this tab and just hold it over this one, and it will like add them to both. And we'll get rid of this one because that's not what we're doing. And then I could bring this over just so we could look at it a little bit more. So for 3,500, I'm going to sort this data just so we could see it. And I'm not sure what those measurements are. So penguins, below is 1 body mass per penguin for the dot plot. Okay, so those are the penguin masses. So I might have I'm just going to sort this. And so I could go to data, sort, and sort A to Z. So we've got one 3,500. It says we have two 3,600s, but we only had one 3,600. It said we had two 3,700s. We only have one. We only have 138. We only have 139. We only have 141. We have two 42s, and we have 143, and we have 147. So this is not correct. And maybe, it's because I had that other stuff in there. But if I get all this, and we'll try again. So we'll go here. I'll drop that data. Create a dot plot of this data. We'll see what it does with that, see if it figures it out. That's crazy. So, I would have to ask it for another prompt, and that's kind of interesting to see. I could say create, through our experimentation and how we ask it, we might be able to get it to do what we want. Create a prompt that creates a stats dot plot of this data, see image. Oh, I'll just do this data, right? Because if it's not like a bunch of stuff, we'll see if this pastes in okay. I gotta break it up. That's gonna be chaos. I'm just gonna hit stop. And we'll do a new chat and try one more time. How do I get this data to have spaces? I don't know. I'm going with the image. Get that off there. Sometimes I spend more time trying to save time. But then once I figure it out, it saves time. We'll see what it does. All right. That's a whole lot of. I want a prompt that creates an image of the dot plot. Give me that prompt. Give me Python. And maybe it's just going to create the image instead of giving me the prompt. Some interesting stuff, Python. We could take this, run Python online, and put it in, see, online Python. And let's just put it in and see what it does, and then run. I don't know what it's doing. Leave. All right, well, that might be right. We got 135, 136, 137, 138, 139. We've got 141. We've got two 42s. We've got 143, and we've got 147. I like it. There's your dot plot. All right, so you could submit that way, a dot plot. That'd be fine. Or you could draw it yourself. And then what do we have? And then you're going to build a line chart. And then you're going to answer some questions. And then you're going to have some analysis questions. And feel free to dialogue with AI about this. And then you'll submit all that. And if you do use AI to dialogue, submit a link to the AI where you have your dialogue so I can see your work. All right, that's how you do this assignment.